I want to bring in Florida Congressman Mike Haridopolos. Congressman, where are you right now with this?
Well, I think we're making progress without doubt. As you know, the team has come up with a plan which would fund the government for the rest of the year. We need to keep the government open. It's common sense. And we, of course, as you know, Cheryl, we actually passed in the House of Representatives a bill that would reduce Obamacare rates by 11%. Unfortunately, back in July and again now in December, the Democrats are fighting that proposal. We think it's a common sense proposal, not just to reduce costs, but also to take on fraud, which we see as rampant in the system.
You have some colleagues, though, in the Republican Party that have joined this program this week that say that at the end of the day, there's going to have to be an extension of the subsidies simply because, A, the calendar with 3 weeks, you can't get true fixes for Obamacare done in time. The other saying that, look, you're coming into a year of the midterms and that the Republicans could pay a political price if these subsidies aren't extended. Your reaction to that?
Well, I disagree with some of my colleagues. I don't think you can rubber stamp an obviously broken system. I think good policy makes good politics, not the other way around. Look, the Democrats are better at politics than we are, unfortunately. We need to provide good policies. Because after all, Cheryl, we're better off than we were a year ago. Lower gas prices, lower interest rates. Of course, we've seen the economic growth at 4% last quarter. We're doing the right things, but we can do more. But what we can't afford is a government shutdown. That's unacceptable to me, and I think we need to move forward and not allow the Democrats to hold up what can be the great American comeback.
I want to move on to this Minnesota fraud story with you. The Small Business Administration suspending nearly 7,000 COVID-era loans in Minnesota, accusing those borrowers of defrauding the government out of $400 million. President Trump says the U.S. is going to get that money back. Watch this.
Can you imagine? They stole $18 billion. That's just what we're learning about. Expediency in California is worse, Illinois is worse, and sadly New York is worse. A lot of other places. So we're going to get to the bottom of all of it. It was a giant scam. Other than that, we're going to have a great new year. Actually, I view that as a reason for a good year because we're going to get to the bottom of it. We're going to get that money back. It's all coming back.
He said $18 billion there, Congressman. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and his administration are facing a lot of pressure over this social services fraud. The Oversight Committee just announced on Wednesday 2 upcoming hearings that will include one with Walz in February. He's been invited. I do want to let our viewers know we've got Small Business Administrator Kelly Loeffler here at the top of the 8 a.m. hour to talk about the suspension last night of these these loans, in her investigation. But you're saying that we should be using federal powers, and that you've got to take down these fraudsters basically like we would organized criminals, like we did back in the 60s. What do you want to see happen? What's your plan?
Well, again, I'm the son of an FBI agent when they were tough. And they went after organized crime and destroyed the mafia of the United States back in the 1960s and 70s. We need to use the same vengeance here to take down this organized crime ring. And it's not just in Minnesota. They're hiding the ball in Wisconsin and California as well. And think about it. The fabric of America is that we work hard, we pay our taxes, we don't go to jail. These people take those tax dollars and steal them. There's no other way to look at it. This is organized crime, and it's unacceptable. And you and I know full well, Cheryl, Tim Walz is not going to tell you the truth in a congressional hearing. What we need to do is talk to an investigator and say, why did you turn a blind eye when you know exactly what was going on at a daycare center or these small business situations? It's because someone told them to turn a blind eye, and they stole not millions, but billions of dollars. We need to use the full force of the federal government, just like they did against the January 6th protest on Capitol Hill, and bring these people to justice in handcuffs. And I think it's going to go all the way to the top, given the rapid behavior that's been going on in Minnesota, led by Tim Walz, who's the most incompetent governor in the history of America.
Well, look, of course he's going to deny this. That's no surprise. At the same time, the fact that the president is now talking about New York, about California, about Illinois, and using $18 billion versus that $9 billion figure that prosecutors allegedly put on the Minnesota fraud. it's not shocking, I guess, really, if you followed the type of fraud that we've seen when it comes to social services and the expansion of the social services network that we've seen in these blue states. I do want to get to your state, though, with you before you go. I'm almost out of time. Let's talk about space. NASA might be just weeks away from the biggest test in decades. The Artemis 2 mission's going to have two American astronauts around the moon. They could be lifting off in February, first time in 50 years. We've had humans exit low Earth orbit. What could you tell us?
Well, as a chairman of the Space Committee in Congress, I couldn't be more excited. We are #1 in space once again. We're dominating the market, not just with, of course, NASA, but, of course, the private sector, SpaceX, Blue Origin. So many other companies are making the great American comeback here in space as well. It has allowed our economy in Central Florida to boom. It's not just for telecommunications. It's also NASA security. And so in early February, if everything works out well, we'll be going around the moon for the first time since 1972. I am overjoyed at this activity, and we are really making progress here because it's about the future of America and the defense of America as we face challenges from China.
Yeah, no, it's certainly space is the new battle frontier, if you will, when it comes to these satellites. And China knows that. And I know that you and your colleagues know it as well and are ready to deal with that threat. Congressman Mike Haridopolos, Happy New Year to you, sir. Thank you for being here today.
Thanks, Cheryl. Happy New Year.